Greetings, fellow viewers of DBS TV, and thank you very much for choosing us. You're watching the program Interview, and for the next 26 minutes, we're going to talk agriculture as a way out in Cameroon. Mind you, for months or for years, the government of Cameroon has been preaching agriculture as a way out. Even the head of state, His Excellency President Paul Biya, had addressed the youths, telling them to go back to the farms as a way out for the country, which or that risk of facing food crisis in the years ahead. So we are here to address issues concerning agriculture in our nation, in our society, and we are talking the side-by-side government's policy of import substitution and promotion and consumption of made in Cameroon product. This is the same government that is advocating for Cameroonians, or calling on Cameroonians to consume what is produced in their own nation. Hours ago or a few days ago, we got to communicate that the government of Cameroon is in agreement or is in a partnership, or some sort of a business deal with India, where they're going to be importing into the country about 190,000 tons of rice this month and next month. That's for the consumption, or for Cameroonians to consume. The argument put forward by the government is that these tons of rice are supposed to serve the needy population in Cameroon. We have a means to cultivate rice in the country, and many economists have been asking questions. This same government that is advocating for import substitution and promotion of made in Cameroon, why are we looking outside to import this much amount of food when we can at least try to produce something in our country? Questions like this have reached DBS TV, and it is for that reason that we decided to hold today's program. With us, we have a global agricultural consultant at the studio. Will be helping us for the next 26 minutes talk about agriculture intensely in Cameroon, the things you should know and things that you did not know about the agricultural sector in our country. When we come back after the first break, we'll unveil the package. You're welcome back, to the viewers of DBS TV, and as announced, we have a guest with us here. He is a celebrity farmer, Njefoti Prince Ghana, all the way from Boya in the southwest region of Cameroon. Welcome to DBS TV.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
It's a pleasure having you, a celebrity farmer. I've been following your works on social media and how you've been advocating for the consumption of made in Cameroon products, not only talking about food, but also arts and culture produced and made in Cameroon. You've been one of those who stand out, as you also carry out your own research and sensitize the population on things that were hidden or not known easily. But today we're going to talk about agriculture. I understand you're a global consultant and you have deep roots in this. Now the government has announced that they are importing about 190 tons or 1,000 tons of rice from India. As an agriculturalist and someone in the field, how does this make you feel?
Well, there are mixed feelings. I'm excited and I'm sad.
Okay.
I'm saddened by it, because I'm excited because I think that as a nation, we have to solve the immediate problems we have, and that is the problem of food insecurity, which we already have. The prices of food are skyrocketing. A bag of rice is expensive, it's going up every day, and this is what we eat every day. Imagine if the common man can't be able to afford rice. So I think the government, the act of going out to be able to, actually, it's not really a deal. I think what they did was to drop down the import tax duty, on rice. And usually we've been importing rice from India for a very long time. Definitely. So I think it's a good thing for them to have thought of that, so that the local man can be able to afford rice. But looking at the impending issues in agriculture, which is the root cause of all this, we need to solve it as fast as possible, because today the world is facing so many challenges. So we need to solve the root cause of why the rice itself is not available in Cameroon, why we are not producing. So this is what really saddens me, because I think even after doing this, those problems will still keep arising. So, but we need to solve the root cause.
Definitely, you put it quite well, because even after importing these tons of rice without solving it from the root, we are definitely going to see import rice in the years ahead. So why not solve it from the root, that brings me to the next question. When you talk about the root, you're talking about the cultivation of rice in Cameroon. Do you think that what we have, or the hectares of land, about 2,500 in around Ngokotunja, that should be in Dop, in the northwest region, is able to carry the population of Cameroon if we...
Oh my goodness. Dop rice, we've not heard of Dop rice. Dop rice is an amazing rice. And I think Dop itself is an amazing place where you can do rice. And we have the capacity to not import rice again. We can produce rice in Cameroon. We can produce the quantity of rice we need. And we have the best quality of rice that you can find anywhere in the world. Because Cameroon is African miniature, which means we have all these diverse agricultural climate zones, which are very good for different types of rice. We have the lowland rice and all of that. So these different types of rice, you can grow them in Cameroon. And shockingly, do you know that the area that produces most rice, like all the rice that you can find, is not really in Dop. Dop rice is popular, but far north there is rice. People don't know this. So it's not just about Ndom, Ngoketunja. There are so many regions that we can grow rice. Even in Manfi, years back, they used to produce rice in Manfi. People don't know this. People don't know this. So I think that we have the capacity to grow rice. And then we have the active population of the youth, the power of the nation. More than half of the population in Cameroon are the young people. And these are the people with the strength to be able to do farming. So I think we have the capacity and we have everything available. Good climatic conditions, the best soil you can ever find on earth. Volcanic, sandy loam soil, clay soils. We have all the type of soil. We have good waters, water bodies. I mean, we have the Atlantic Ocean, we have natural water, we have streams, we have rivers. We have all of these things available at our disposal to do rice and do it massive and even export.
Why are we not at that level yet? Why?
Because the enabling environment.
Okay.
We need the enabling environment for agriculture. What are the enabling environment for us to be able to produce rice in massive scale? The first thing, the roads. We don't have farm to market roads. It's very difficult. I remember when we were young, we have to carry bags of cassava. It causes injury. It wastes time. You spend a lot of money, and at the end of the day, you get to the market. How much will you sell? The second thing is subsidies. Now, this is a big problem internationally. As a global consultant, when you travel, I meet other countries and discuss with other people from other countries. Agriculture in so many countries is highly subsidized. So, but in Cameroon, that is something that is not available, readily available. Some few people benefit from this subsidy, very few, because the system is not structured in such a way that the government has every detail of every farmer to be able to say, okay, we're going to support you by maybe, let's say, 5%, 10%, and all of this. So what happens if a farmer in the US is subsidized, or a farmer in India is subsidized to produce rice? What happens to their cost of production? It is dropped. So when they sell now to Cameroon, they can compete even with the local production, and they even sell at better prices. So this is where we have issues. So if we don't subsidize and assist farmers to create that enabling environment so that they produce at a minimal cost, then there will be serious problems, because then the imported stuff will come and then we, local products, we can't compete. And it becomes a big problem. Distribution costs too. How do we distribute? Supermarkets, all these things. We need to have the channels available so that people can easily distribute. If there's the rice agriculture, how do we get it to the supermarkets? All these things are lacking. Secondly, we need to get the youth into agriculture. The brains in Cameroon are leaving Cameroon, which means those who are now doing farming are people who are doing it in a local scale, like you said. So we need the young people to, and the brilliant ones, not just any young person. When you leave the University of Boya, agriculture, ideas, thank you. We need that. And this is what is lacking. Everybody's going. All the brightest minds are going.
Unfortunately, we say agriculture is something for the old, the poor, the dirty, and some youths would find it very difficult to engage themselves in agriculture. This is very unfortunate and very, very sad. So many people would argue that we also lack agricultural tech. New technologies and innovations to boost large-scale production. What do you think about it?
It's part of the enabling environment. The infrastructure is not available.
Because it doesn't make sense that in 2024, our fathers will still go through the very hectic and tedious means to produce rice when we have machines and things that could help them, do this in less than the number of hours that they would put in to produce the same quantity. So you think that
we need that. Second generation agriculture is what the president has been preaching for so long. But we can't do second generation agriculture with hoes and machetes. So this is where there is a big problem. Imagine a field that would have been plowed with a tractor within like an hour. You need 20 people to do that, and you're not even sure they will finish plowing, and they might not even do it properly like what a tractor would do. You understand? So this is where we have real big issues. We need to totally, completely mechanize the agriculture. If we were to produce at an industrial scale, then we must completely mechanize the agricultural sector.
Where
so that we can get
from? Mechanization. How do we implement this? How do we completely, or not completely, but to an extent, erase or keep down our hoes and our cutlasses, and then introduce the use of machines on our farms to produce large scale, and maybe, you know, bring down the burden and work from those who engage in agriculture? Where do we start from?
It's very simple. We have to, let's just segment villages. You go to a village, segment, get groups of farmers, register, and it should be a record, and then get even a single tractor for those segments, those different units. You understand? It's very simple. Imagine if you're able to do that. You go to manque, you go to the north and get all these small villages and get them just one single tractor. So what they do is, when they have a project, you just come, you get your tractor and you plow at a minimum fee. Let's start at the level of working with groups of farmers than individuals. From there, we'll be able to do a lot.
Definitely, and I think that's to an extent a solution. Maybe many people are thinking, you know, to look at it from an individual owning machines or things like that, but you've given quite a solution to the problem. First step, solution to the problem on ground. Now let's talk valorizing our own, consuming made and produced in Cameroon. Now, do you think that with what we have, with the soils and maybe with the capacity that we have, if we say, okay, we are totally investing in consumption of Cameroon is ready to produce and consume its own? I'm not talking only about rice. I'm talking now about fish, about dairy products, and other things that would need to feed on as Cameroonians. What if we say we are doing predominantly or basically 90-10? Do you think that Cameroon is able to sustain that?
Yes, we are.
To produce
100%.
meal that can be consumed by Cameroonians?
100%. Let me explain something. The government banned the importation of poultry, of frozen chicken. 2006. Look at the poultry sector in Cameroon. It's massive. Every village, local community you go, the women, they have small poultry farms. Do you know everybody's doing poultry, and they don't know why? People don't really understand this, why they are doing this, because the government had placed a ban. Imagine if we were competing with imported, with frozen chicken. Imagine. There will be no poultry farmer, because trust me, the chicken imported, this frozen chicken, would have outcompete everything in Cameroon in terms of the pricing and everything. So imagine if you make a similar ban on fish, frozen fish. Everybody's eating mackerel. You don't have a choice. You go and buy catfish from that woman who is having a catfish farm, or tilapia. You buy it. You don't have a choice. So there must be a deliberate attempt by the government to create policies and institute things in place that will enable people to work properly. There are two things. It's either you block, you ban importation, or you subsidize so that they can compete. If these two things are not working hand in hand, there's no way we can compete. There is no way. These farmers are highly subsidized. Trust me, there are farmers who are so subsidized to a point where they can sell at very minimal, like this, and then and still make it. So we can, first of all, the government has to, like I said, they need to come together and say, okay, which are the products in Cameroon that we think that our people can produce? We can place a ban or increase the tax on the imported product so that it discourages people from bringing them into our country. The second thing they can look at and say, okay, for us to be able to make people consume us, information. We should have programs like this on air all the time to tell people about our own products. Like, young people should come up. This is my coffee, I produced it. This is my this. So informing the people, giving them the information about the product existing is very important. The next thing is reducing the price, because there is no way we valorize our own if it's expensive. So at our own level, the enabling environment, like I said, should be there. Farm to market road, storage facilities, processing units, all these support, subventions, tractors, industrializing our agriculture. I mean, to that second generation, we need that second generation. We need to do all of this so that the food will be cheap, because at the end of the day, people want to buy cheaper. It's basic economics. So these are the things that we have to do, and many more.
All right, when we talk agriculture, it's so vague, it's so big. Unfortunately, I don't know how it got to this level. Many people narrow it down to just farming. Most times, or when the head of state made his speech and announced that the youth should go to the farms, or no, take agriculture serious. Whenever the state mentions that agriculture should be taken serious, the first thing the youths think about is, how do I get into a farm? How do I till? How do I plant? How do I? But agriculture is just more than farming. There are so many different sectors in agriculture. As an agricultural consultant, I want you to tell the audience, those who are watching us right now, how broad agriculture is. Why are you narrowing down it only to farming?
Well, I want to tell everyone out there who is listening to me that even if you're a young man, you want to do agriculture, you are a mother, you want to send your child to school. Not that agriculture is not limited to farming, like you said. There are so many things. I'm an agricultural consultant. I make money from consulting. It's part of agriculture. It doesn't necessarily mean that you own the farm. As a consultant, it's your job after leaving the university with a degree. You have some basic training and certifications. You can engage as a consultant to give advice to farmers on how to implement, to design their projects, implement, and follow up everything. So that's the job of a consultant. We have agricultural experts. These are people who are expert on particular domain. You could say you're an expert on pepper farming, and people come to you and get advice, and they pay you well. You can become a public speaker where you speak on issues on agriculture and still be paid. You can do agriculture and still be in the field of the non-profit. You can do agriculture and be an operator of machines. You can do agriculture and be in tech, which means you can create solutions that are tech-driven. You can create apps, software, but you're still in agriculture. It is a beautiful field that is so broad. And at the same time, within the agricultural field, there are so many things. As you know, fish farming is there. Imagine how nice it is to have a fish ponds everywhere, and you can do this. You don't have to. I mean, you eat fish as much as you want.
Fish, you can go into your pond and get one from
so
there.
So many things. Processing too.
Okay.
Let's talk about processing. You can process. If you have a processing unit where you process stuff and you package them and sell, you are still into the agricultural field. People don't know this. Mushroom farming, poultry farming, plantain farming. There are thousands of things in agriculture. The field is so broad that you can take an entire generation to study and still don't even know half of it.
Which is why you need a consultant to tell you where exactly you should be. They'll maybe look at you and look at what you like and tell you what exactly you should be doing at that time. It's very broad, and when I hear people narrow it down to just farming, I begin to wonder, like, did we not study the same thing? I think that agriculture is not only going to the farm. When you tell someone I'm an agriculturalist or I'm into like, I have farm business, I'm like, no, I mustn't be a farmer. Yes, but I'm into agriculture or something like that. And today we are talking agriculture as a way out. You are from the Southwest region. What would you advise someone from the Southwest region to invest in agriculture?
The first thing I want to say, if you're in the Southwest region, is the Southwest region, first of all, the soils are amazing. We have a volcanic soil in Boya. It's amazing. And there you can do pepper farming.
Okay.
No, pepper, I think that was like 2 months ago. A bag of pepper was like 90,000, so expensive. You go a pepper, they'll give you 2 for 100 francs. So you can do pepper farming. Pepper farming is extremely lucrative. You can do tomato farming when you have sufficient experience, because there was a time, I think last month or two, tomatoes were still also very, very expensive. So tomato farming, poultry farming particularly is good if you have the resources. Don't start with the 100 birds. I mean, you need to start with a skill that is profitable. I advise people this all the time. It's not every skill in agriculture which is profitable. There's a skill in every aspect of agriculture which is profitable. So if you're doing poultry, don't start with the 100 birds until you make a lot of money. So you can speak to an expert, speak to anybody who is into poultry farming before you start. They will be able to educate you. There are so many things: poultry farming, cassava farming. Oh my goodness, you can make Gary now is like gold. I mean, so we can cassava farming. There are so many things you can do while you're in agriculture. But the most important thing in doing this is to do market-oriented agriculture. So I could give you all this advice, but look at your community. Be honest to yourself. Ask yourself, what is lacking when I go to the market to buy? What is that one thing that people want? What is that one thing that is lacking in the market? That one thing that is expensive in the market? And at what time is that thing expensive? So that you can now leverage from that particular timing to plant and be able to harvest and make sufficient profit.
Definitely, because I've seen some people make the mistake of just going into it because it's the season, and yes, we are just following the trend, and at the end of the day, you have a whole community selling the same thing.
The same thing.
And I'm asking, how did we get to this level? Did you not see? Did you not know? And then I asked for the Southwest. Now take us to the Northwest.
The Northwest usually has my Abakwa people. Yeah, the Northwest is amazing. You know, in the Northwest are the highest producers of tomato, especially in Cameroon. More than 100,000 tons of tomato. They are amazing tomato producers. So when it comes to gardening, the Northwest is super good. So if you're in the Northwest, you're in areas like Santa, all these areas, Akuman, all of that, gardening is very, very good in the Northwest because of the climatic condition. It makes it suitable for you to do gardening. Cassava too is extremely good in the Northwest. It's really, really good. There are people who are selling just gari in the Northwest, and they are making lots and lots of money. So cassava is good. Poultry farming and fish farming in the Northwest, it's not really good. It's not a thriving business. This is an advice, because feed getting to the Northwest is very expensive. The cost of feed, it takes about 70% of the cost of production in animal farming. So feed getting to the Northwest is really, really expensive for those who are engaged into poultry. But like I said, if you're doing large scale, you can still do fish farming, you can still do poultry farming and all of that if you're doing large scale. Yeah, so I think Northwest gardening is an amazing thing. Cassava, they have plantains, but I think the Southwest
plantains,
yeah, so yeah, it's good. I'm
asking this question because I just want to draw the line, because some areas would be quite favorable for some plants and cultivation of some crops, while other areas will not favor the cultivation of some crops. That's why I just want our audience to know that if it's not going this way, maybe you try out the other way. Definitely. And now we are experiencing climate change. Our mothers cannot tell when it is a rainy season and the planting season. We have rainfall at any time. We have terrible hot sunshine at any time. How are farmers adapting to this present change? How should they even adapt to this change?
Climate change is real. Is real. Africa is warming faster than any other planet on earth. So Africa will face more heat stress, and then our climates are unpredictable. Now, when the winds fell of recent, I wrote a post and I was like, please don't farm now. Anyone to farm now. So I'm very glad some people took the advice, because trust me, you can have the first wind and then it stays like 2 weeks without wind. So these are things that are happening that usually were not happening in the days of our forefathers. So I want to tell you that climate change is real, and for you to be able to adapt with climate change, you have to look within your surrounding. Look within your surrounding. The days when you clear the entire field, people clear, and then you use all these chemicals and all of that, it's not advisable. What you should do is, let's use our poultry droplets, because what is important in climate change, first of all, is the preservation of the soil. If we are able to preserve the soil, to reduce the rate of erosion, the rate of water loss, it's very, very important, because there are two events that occur in climate change. Either you have drought or you have floods. But for you to reduce floods, what do you have to do? If the soil integrity is in place, you can reduce floods. If you have cover crops and you do planting, just like our forefathers, mixed cropping was very, very good. It's a sustainable way of agriculture. People don't even know that. They came and said, no monocropping, plant one crop in the field. No, our forefathers knew these things. So we have to still go back to what we're doing, using poultry droplets, ensuring that we do mulch. You mulch your farm. You can use, there's some natural mulch like lemongrass you can put around a crop to prevent that extreme water loss during the dry season. And also there are improved varieties now at Soweto, so many other areas where you can meet and get improved variety seeds that can withstand extreme drought and all of this. They are available. Seeds that can withstand these certain diseases that usually our native seeds could not. Those seeds are available. So go there, get them. But the most important thing, like I said, is that in your own little way, you have to learn to fight climate change. Excessive use of chemicals is not advisable. I know Mama made the watch, so people like to put fertilizers and all of this, but please, we have to do it. Yeah, we have to farm the right way so that we don't contribute in adding to climate change. When we are cutting down trees in our farms, don't cut everything in your farm. You have to cut and leave some so that you can have shade and canopy, just like our forefathers did. You don't just cut everything. Don't go and be burning your bush. When you burn your farm, the first year the crop will do well because there's a lot of phosphate and all of this. But natural organisms destroyed. So the second year you start struggling, and we don't have as so much land like we used to have before, where we used to do bush following, where you burn and then the first year you harvest bountifully and then you move to another land. But now it's limited. So in your own way, why we have climate change, you have to also fight in your own little way so that we can win the war. It's a war.
You have to adopt adaptive measures, and he's given you quite a number of plans of constructive or progressive ways to help fight climate change, or to help adapt at this time when we are fighting the adverse effects of climate change and global warming. We'll not just sit and say, okay, we are suffering, how do we do this? We cannot completely change it, but we can adapt and, you know, continue from where we have stopped. It is no doubt, or we cannot deny, that there is a problem. We have identified the problem. We have a problem in this country. We've mentioned some of them, some of the things that are limiting us from producing in large scale, some of the things that cause us to import in large tons out of the country. So what are you suggesting or proposing that the government should do, you know, to help Cameroon be independent? It's not every year that we have to spend billions of francs CFA importing what should have been produced in our nation, you know, from other nations. We too are rice exporters. We export rice to neighboring countries in Central Africa. So I think that to an extent it should be at that level. What do you think the government should do to assist this country be independent?
The government has to look back. We spent 3 trillion francs CFA. Just rice itself is 354 million US dollars we spend importing rice. For wheat, it's 250 something wheat. Imagine, this is a lot of money. These are billions. This is money we can put to do the hard things. And this is what we are not doing. Every day we are in building a workshop, building capacity to train farmers. This is not what we should be doing. Let's do the hard things. What are the hard things? The things that are expensive. To construct farm to market roads, it's an expensive tax to undertake, but this is something that the government has to plan to do and say, we're going to take 10 years, and within this 10 years we want to achieve this number of roads, farm to market roads. Just solving that problem, trust me, it can completely revolutionize the agricultural sector. Imagine if you can drive with a car to your farm and park and do farming, and then just carry your produce, put in the car and bring it back home. Do you know what people go through? 40% of what we produce is lost. It's lost before it gets to the final consumer. 40%. So you see that the problem sometimes is not even production. The problem is, how do we even manage what we have produced? So farm to market roads, number one. Do we have storage facilities, warehouses? We can build them in communities. When you bring your cocoyam, there's a warehouse, you park, and it gets to a point, then you can then take to towns and sell. We have to structure our market. People just put any price in the market. Price for tomato is this, price for this. They change it the way they want. We need to structure inputs that are coming in. The government has to do more to subsidize. A bag of fertilizer cannot be sold for 45,000. What happens to a smallholder farmer who is barely managing? That mommy in the village, how will she be able to afford a bag of fertilizer for 45,000 francs? Feed left from 7,000, 14,000, and then to 23,000 for animal feed. Some 1923. That's the range. Imagine the increase. And how do poultry farmers now cope? The drugs are now expensive. Things are going up every day. So they have to come in and see how they can to try to bring down this stuff. Subsidize more and help people. The youth needs to be encouraged to engage in agriculture, because the average age of a farmer in Africa in general is 50-something years old. So what happens if the generation of farmers go? If they die, what happens? Our young people, none of them will be in farming. They are now traveling abroad, going through the Mediterranean Ocean every day. It became so worrying that the president himself had to address it in the recent speech during the youth day. It's worrying. It's something which is really, really bad. So we need to get the youth to stay back home. We need to get people to stay back in our communities and not migrating to towns. Look at Douala, congested. People are suffering. Crime rate is high. Everything is high. Yaoundé the same. Our
villages are empty. Because youths are in rural,
agriculture,
urban areas.
Agriculture is there's the one thing that keeps people in villages. And if we are not able to develop it, what happens? So there's a lot policy-wise. In short, there's a lot that the government should do. Like I mentioned, we need to do the hard things.
We're blaming the government a lot. What should we do personally to help this country? Yes, because every time we say the government has to, the government has heard, because year in, year out is something that we address to the government. You have to, what should we be doing as Cameroonians, to make sure that we have enough food in our barns, in our yards, that can, take us and avert this possible food crisis? Planting more?
The government the thing is, the government is me and you. So if things are not going on well, we are all part of the government. So all these things, it's left for us to fix it.
It's collective.
If you are not in the position to make this decision, you can help to impose, to advocate for them. Right? So I think that we can do we can do that. We can do that. We can advocate. I've been doing. We can keep advocating so the government will take those actions. It's very important.
Thank you very much for being here. You have last words to televiewers or those watching you at this moment. Talk to them.
Yeah, I want to say I love you. This is a celebrity farmer. Farmers should be celebrated. And I want to tell you to keep farming. Never give up. Let me tell you, there's a generation that has to sacrifice for this country. And that generation is you and me. Let's stay back home. I know the difficulties are there in farming, but I know if we leave this country, people will starve to death. We need to farm as farmers because we are the future. Thank you so much. And let's farm sustainably because climate change is real. Thank you. Love you.
Thank you very, very much for being here. Hoping to see you another time and hoping to work with you because you have quite some very good points and salient ideas. We hope or wish to have more Cameroonians like you invested in you know, the agricultural sector and advocating for the consumption and production of made in Cameroon. Ladies and gentlemen, televiewers, we have come to the end of today's edition of Interview. Today we talked agriculture as a way out. Hopefully you've learned something from our guest of today, celebrity farmer all the way from the southwest region of the country, Jeffoti, Princeville, Ghana. And it is on that note that I would leave you today, hoping to meet you some other time. Stay tuned to other interesting programs on DBS TV. Until we meet again next time, goodbye.